Hi, I'm Greg Euland with Reynolds & Reynolds, and this is Connected. I'm really excited about this conversation. It's one that I've been wanting to have on Connected for a long time. Today I get to talk with Elgie Bright. Elgie is the chair of the Automotive Marketing and Management Program at Northwood University up in Midland, Michigan. I'm sure you've seen him somewhere around the industry if you've been around for any amount of time. So, Elgie, thanks so much for joining.
Thanks, Greg. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Elgie, one of the things I want to get into in just a second is the President's Freedom Celebration. It's an annual celebration at Northwood. And as we're recording, it's actually later this afternoon, or this evening. So I'm excited about that. And thank you very much for taking time out of what I am sure is a busy day for you.
No, this is my honor, and it's a pleasure.
Yeah. So before we dive into that stuff, I did, Elgie, want to talk about athletics at Northwood University for a minute, because a couple of reasons. One, there's actually a guy that works for us. He's in our sales organization, but he was a quarterback at Northwood, a decade ago or so, and. I learned this about him when he was a newer sales rep, and I was in kind of a position where I got to mentor a little bit. And I found that fascinating because, when I thought of Northwood, I always thought of, it's an automotive school, it's focused. But the athletics program is a really powerhouse program. And I mean, just most recently, a couple of weeks ago, the baseball program advanced all the way to the D2 College World Series.
That's right. We, we believe that, and just anecdotally, about 50% of our students are student athletes, and
oh, wow.
we have a full array of athletics. Football, basketball, baseball, track, hockey, lacrosse. I mean, we've got all of the sports, and to see the discipline of these students, and again, it's really great for the automotive industry, which I'm closest to, because these students are disciplined. They know what a win looks like. They're used to time management as they try to, balance their athletics and their academics. So not only are they successful on the field, extremely successful off the field, and then in industry in the community.
Yeah, no, it's great that the university is able to have so many sports programs at that high of a level, and the university too, at least from my experience outside looking in, has pretty high expectations of students, not just student athletes, but of students in general, and they put a lot of responsibility on students. So I think that speaks volumes.
Yeah, we have a number of student-led events. Our auto show, and I know we'll talk about that later. Our full tank camp, a new cars event, which is an international event. But students that take the lead and that plan and market and then execute, put teams together. So we think that type of active learning environment not only benefits the student, but just really makes them more marketable when they go out ultimately to begin their careers.
Yeah. So, Elgie, before we dive in, because I see you in a lot of different places, I hear you talk on a lot of different mediums and channels, and one of the things that I'm not familiar with, so I'm assuming maybe some others aren't as well, is your background and kind of your path to where you are today. But I want to start, and you can start wherever you want, but I have a question. So you went, if I remember right and researched properly, you went to Adrian College, is that right?
That's right.
Okay. All right. So I got to know, there was this pizza place. So Adrian, I'll give you a little background on me. I grew up in a little itty bitty town right in the northwest corner of Ohio. So about 20 miles straight south of Hillsdale, if you know where Hillsdale, Michigan is. Yeah.
Yes.
So you cross the Ohio line and you go a mile, and there's this little town with one stoplight that I grew up in. So we would go up to Tigers games in the summer, right? And we'd drive through Adrian. And as we're driving up through Adrian, there was this little pizza place, and it was in a family's garage, I swear. It was called Vietti's Pizza. Does that ring a bell for you at all? Because this pizza, it was amazing pizza, at least the way I remember it.
Yeah, as I remember it too, it was amazing. But as a broke college student, between the fancy pizzas and the Domino's, I mean, it all kind of tasted really good. But I do remember. I don't remember what their story was, but I do know that it was kind of a go-to in town. And yes.
No, that's great. That's great. So yeah, if you don't mind, from there, right? So you graduate college, and what? Give me your story, kind of your background, how you got to where you are.
So there's a Kmart in town at that time. Anybody out there that remembers Kmart? And I worked my way through college. Again, that broke college student doing tire changes and oil changes and just light tech work at the old Kmart Automotive. And that kind of set the bug. I mean, I had done all the auto shop classes back in the old day in high school and everything, but I really didn't know what I was going to do. After I graduated, actually Kmart hired me, and the beauty of all of that, even more than beginning my career in automotive, is that's where I met my wife. So anybody that's looking at my bald head or see any gray hairs, it was a long time ago, 40 years ago, over 40 years
Wow.
ago, that I walked off of that campus, and just a short while did the Kmart thing. My wife was working at Kmart, so anyone out there also that dating at work, I mean, 40 years later, it worked out for me. She didn't take me back. I might have been the blue light special, but um, from there, a good friend of mine that I went to school with that was working at a dealership, Tamaroff, told me about the wonderful opportunities in retail automotive. And although I didn't end up going to his dealership, I went up and down Telegraph Road in Southfield, put in my resume, and I got hired by Art Moran. And
Yep.
really grateful to the Moran organization, and I know there's several Morans across the nation, but the Art Moran organization is where I really cut my teeth and learned. Got a chance. Started out, writing service, writing collision, but advanced pretty quickly in management and all kind of pre-internet. It was really about relationships on the sales side, relationships with vendors, and relationships with the community, and really learned dealership operations. And the beauty of storytelling is that every there's a surprise around every corner. And met some people as one of the top 5 Pontiac dealers. Met somebody from Pontiac, and although he told me, he says, I don't recruit inside of our stores. I mean, you'd be the kind of person that we'd be looking for, just the way that you handle a couple of our customers and things like that. And
So,
so
so even though I don't recruit, I'm going to go ahead and recruit you now.
I am gonna,
That was it.
at least I'm going to hope you put your resume in, because again, we're not to the internet yet. So, and I did. And I actually had a talk with Miss Moran, and it really was inspirational and encouraging, because he told me, he said, you can always come back here. You're part of the family. I mean, a lot of dealers and the dealers out there think about how you handle those relationships with top performers. Is it, you pack up yourself and go, or, keeping people as part of the relationship? Well, he chose to make me feel really welcomed and encouraged me to kind of follow this opportunity. And that led to a 20 plus year career with General Motors, which I absolutely love. Most of it in the field, uh, district sales, service, parts, finance, and several markets. From there, and the wonderful relationship that Northwood has with General Motors, and one of our vice presidents now at that time was selling a program into General Motors, a master's degree program, with a dealership executive MBA. And I jumped at the opportunity. I'd gotten to know Northwood through some of the alums that were working through General Motors, grew to love it, and took the opportunity to get a master's, and raised my hand when the guy that had this seat before me said, if you're ever retiring, I want to be first in line, because I just thought that this was a magical place, a really important place to the industry, and I wanted to be part of it in some form, way, fashion. And that came true, and now I've been here for 14 years. Wonderful opportunity to lead this program. So there's not a lot of variables to it. I mean, it's retail. It's independent retail, I guess, if you call Kmart in their automotive program, and then the OE General Motors, and here I am now in academics, working with great relationships like Reynolds, and working with great students that are leading different initiatives across campus, and getting a chance to tell not only my story, but kind of the X's and O's and underpinnings of this great ecosystem, the automotive business.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. That's a great story, a great story of loyalty, and a great story of maintaining relationships for sure. One thing you mentioned there, was how you felt like Northwood was a really special place, and the campus is beautiful. Certainly, the setting's great, the faculty's great, the curriculum's great, but you can say that about a lot of universities, right? A lot of places in the country. So, I'm hoping we can talk a little bit. Maybe we can anchor it in the President's Freedom Celebration, because I think that brings together a lot of the values of Northwood. So could you talk a little bit about maybe the celebration tonight, and then we can then talk about the Northwood idea and expand on that a little bit.
Sure, sure. We're honored today to celebrate what we call the President's Freedom Celebration, which brings together our board of trustees and supporters of Northwood University, and those stakeholders, where we get a chance to hear President McDonald talk about a state of our college, and it's in really good shape under his leadership. We get a chance to come together and listen to a great industry speaker, Professor Dr. Gad Sad, who is just a subject matter expert and thought leader in marketing, and has a really, really important resume and CV, and he's going to encourage us tonight. But we really hone in on what we like to call the Northwood idea, and it's an ideology that's just rooted in just not only just great personal ethic. It is something that, and I like to tell the students this. I heard this around the kitchen table, so it's just really common sense. But when you talk about personal accountability and responsibility, individuals that don't blame things on others, but actually grasp a situation at hand and drive whatever the initiative is forward. And when things come up, we're gonna solve the issue together. And that's just one way that I try to point students towards that. Things are going to come up in business, and it's not time to blame each other. But that comes right out of our Northwood idea. That there's a acronym, Fresh Air, and it talks about responsibility, it talks about spirituality, it talks about honesty. But the ones that really, really resonate with me are earned success. And that is that, what you put into something, there is no guarantee. There's an inequality. There's not equal outcomes. There's just equal opportunity for everybody. And if you take accountability and responsibility for your actions, your attitude, you can go far. But there's also the market and market conditions, and it's just a really, really fresh air way to look at things.
Yeah.
That's just one of the tenets that really in the automotive industry and in the classroom that I really try to drive forward. But that's a lot of what happens at the President's Freedom celebration. Is not only a celebration of that Northwood idea and the philosophy, but how that has driven strategic initiatives throughout the year.
Yeah. Yeah. Another one of the, earned success is a great one for sure. And it ties in nicely with, another idea that's a part of, I think, the Northwood idea, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is the concept of, freedom comes with responsibility. Right. And you kind of earn that freedom. And if it's given to you, you have a responsibility to, make the most of it. And it's a really interesting concept. And I'm curious, some of these ideas. So there's moral law, right? You talked about spirituality and free enterprise, which we can get to, because obviously Northwood considers itself the free enterprise university. But how do all of these, and I'll call them conservative ethical views, right, on the world, and I think they're extremely important. But how do these resonate with young people? Because it seems like you get great students there. I've had the opportunity over the years to interact with a lot of students, and they really are just grounded, driven individuals, pretty much everybody that I've interacted with. So I'm just kind of curious from your perspective, how this connects. Is it a certain type of individual that's drawn to this? Is it a lot of different types of individuals that then come together and they find a way inside of the Northwood idea? I don't know. What's your perspective?
Well, to me, it's just really common sense, and I've seen people, you can have the labels, and I understand it. It's apolitical, and so we
Right.
think of conservative and liberal in political terms. And again, there's a place for political science, political theory, political debate, but in business, it's common sense. So if you really dig into, you know, a free market, for instance.
Yep.
As a dealer, they understand valuations, and there's all kinds of book values, there's appraised values, but the market determines value, and if as long as we can keep the freer we keep that, the less regulation, the more that a dealer can be really effective in the marketplace, and that's across the board common sense, earned success. You know, I don't have, and I'm not trying to demean anyone else, I don't have a trophy for everyone. I have a trophy for those that are really effective at business. And so if that looks like the customer experience, if that looks like bottom line profit, if that looks like however you define success, if you get to that success, then you've earned the rewards that come with that. And for us, profit is not a dirty word. There are some out there. And again, it's not a debate that would demean profit. We don't. We think that
Yeah.
entrepreneurs and businesses that make profit, that use strategic initiatives, that compete in a free marketplace, that there are winners. And unfortunately, there are losers. And those losses can be turned around, and there's all kinds of stories out there where people got up off the ground and got right back into the game. And to me, that is the common sense approach to the Northwood idea. And then for me also, and I've had the wonderful opportunity. I embrace it, I really do. But they were things that I learned around my kitchen table, that I had the beauty and the good fortune, everything, the blessing, if I could use that word, and I will, around my kitchen table, where my mom and dad, a hardworking couple. My dad worked in the automotive industry, a gray iron foundry, and my mother worked at a daycare center, and they taught those type of things. And when others talk about lazy this or what, I had parents that absolutely talked about those things. And again, they came from a really faith-based background, but these things just really resonated with and made sense. Even before I knew anything about politics, I kind of knew what it was like to have a brilliant work ethic, the importance of education, the importance of relationships and mentors and inspiration. So, Greg, that's really where I really connect with it, and so I hold it up as a perspective and a jeweler's rouge and included in. And I just find that the type of student that we have just resonates with that wherever they come from, whatever their
Sure.
socioeconomic background, however that they, have voted. Yeah, it's probably going to lean one way more than another, but in civics, if you get involved in your community, self-interest is okay. As Milton Friedman said, if you do those things that can really help your business be successful, that helps all of us. My name wasn't on the sign. It was Art Moran's name on the sign, but the things that he did in the community, and the type of things that he was for and the things that he were against that helped his business allowed me to feed my family. And so I'm ever grateful. I always talk about that those entrepreneurs, especially automotive retailers, dealers, are my heroes. And I love their stories, and I love the relationships and all of the people that are around this great ecosystem. So long-winded answer, but I really get passionate about the not only the Northwood idea, but again, that common sense approach to business that the Northwood idea informs. And I think that's why we have so many entrepreneurs that come out of this program and out of our university.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I also love how much you and the entire university leans into it, right?
Yes.
It's not that there's not a war for everybody, and we have a little bit of everything. This is who we are, this is who we stand for, this is what we stand for, this is what we believe in, and if you want to be a part of this, please by all means come join our family, right? And that that clear direction and that clear purpose and the ability for everybody to rally around it, I think makes a huge difference. And you think about it in a few different ways. One is just the impact that you can have, but also just from, you're a marketing professor, just from a marketing perspective, having a clear statement on what you stand for makes a difference, right? And it just allows people to understand, okay, Northwood, they are the free enterprise university. That's it. And then it's period. And then you can talk more about it from there. But I think that it's a great way to approach things. And I love that you all just lean into it.
Yes, yes. I mean, we're in a competitive environment. There's wonderful schools out there. There's all, but this is who we are. And I see the same with dealerships. I mean, they come out with a message. You think about mission, vision, goals. I mean, this is who we are. If I'm a luxury dealer, I have these and these amenities. And if I'm a mass volume dealer and I'm selling Chevys and Toyotas and Fords and things like that, that's who we are. And this is what we do. And the same with pricing, whether, the famous thing in retail, we hold for gross or, we sell for volume. There may be negotiation, there may be a one price store, but this is who we are. We stick to it. This is our strategy to go to market. And, we can always adjust. We can always, but in a free market, we enjoy the right to make our plans, to huddle, to stick to our goals, our missions, our visions, and this is how we go to market. This is how we compete.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Hey, I want to shift gears a little bit, LG. You mentioned the word a couple of times, relationships.
Yes.
And you've been in this industry for a career at this point, right? This isn't a pit stop for you. So you've developed a lot of relationships over the years. And obviously in your role, and you can kind of dive deeper into this, you have a lot of responsibilities. You're a teacher, right? You're an educator. You're an industry relations figurehead. You run a department in the automotive program at Northwood. So you have a lot of responsibility. One of the things, again, outside looking in, so I guess I'm trying to frame this as a question with probably too many words, but I view a big part of your role as almost a door opener, right? And a connector. So you think about all of the students that you've had the opportunity to educate over the years, and there's a ton of value in that. I would present that you probably bring the most value by connecting opportunities, right? You connect people inside of our industry to really almost create opportunities for two different parties to connect and build something great. And, I'm curious what your reaction is to that and how you view that.
I love it, and I step into it. I mean, it's one of the tenets that from the very first intro class is how important relationships are. And I go back to that story of me at the dealership when, the Moran organization preached the value of relationships, and I embraced it, and today I see where that pays off. And so, as a professor, as a thought leader, as a subject matter expert, I mean, those soft skills matter. And so relationships are important from a sales aspect. I mean, again, you want to sell to a wide net to create those profits. Relationships are valuable and important because others can open doors for you. So it's great to knock on the mayor's door and the electricians and the plumbers and all of those different other role codes and working roles that are in your area of trade. And then relationships that are personal, because things are going to come up where you need someone that speak into your life the truth. So whether that's inspiration or encouragement, it could be correction, it could be accountability, where somebody says, "Hey, LG, I see, you're going left here, and I know you've always been going right. I'd like to speak a word to you." Whatever that is, where now you've got somebody, a trusted person in your life, that you allow that to happen. And then, from an institution, and again, one of our oldest relationships, and certainly since I've been here, I think of the relationship with Reynolds. And not only Reynolds been just an awesome business partner, thought leader, subject matter expertise. They hire people, they come into the classroom, and I love it. Sean Leibel, I'll call him out right here, but hey, what do you need? And that is important because when you get to my age, and I know I'm dealing with young people, you'll realize that the value of that somebody that can open a door or give you a perspective. Hey, have you considered this? How valuable that is. That is a real important currency. And the students today, they have the technology, the advantage of technology, where they can get in on LinkedIn and begin to create their network, which, many people have said, and I believe this, that your network is your net worth. And a great friend of mine and a friend of the university, Chris Saraceno, wrote a book and talks about, the five people that you surround yourself with. I mean, you could look at yourself in the mirror and that is you. And so if you surround yourself with good people, inspirational people, people that are encouraging, people that have a belief system that aligns with yours, I mean, that's synchronicity. And if you align yourself with negative people, people that are always tearing down, and then you can look in the mirror and you probably guess, I might be negative. But we try to get people to really build up a strong network. So that big R word is, that shows up on the test. Relationships are important. Especially in business, and we're a business university, and networks are really important.
So, do you have a method, LG, for connecting people? And I think about especially younger people. You get to work with a lot of younger people, and a lot of younger people don't have a network, right? Yeah. And especially some of the folks that you probably have relationships on a day in and day out basis, they're looking towards their future, saying, "Okay, how does this work? How do I get a job?" Right? Yeah. Or maybe they're in their first job and they're like, I really would like to make the transition, maybe like you did, from a retail environment to a manufacturer, right? Or there's all these steps, and there's not a playbook. It's not like they can go and Google, how do I do this, right? And it takes, in a lot of instances, I feel like, an individual to help them. So do you have, a methodology that you use that maybe others that do have relationships but haven't been able to or don't know how to help someone else kind of leverage them? Is there a way that you think about that?
Yeah, and great question. I love that. And so I'm going to give the audience two things from the classroom and
Okay.
two things that I believe in. And one is make a relationship every day. And so if it comes back to me, well, how do I do that, Professor? We can go through that. I mean, a LinkedIn profile, and the second piece of that is use the power of your imagination. Yeah. So you see Chris Walsh out there. Imagine yourself as the president and CEO of Reynolds. You see a race car driver. You see a politician. You see, I mean, again, the possibilities are endless. But if you see that, and it's the power of imagination, then begin to go down that path in your research and make a relationship. Who's in that role? Who's doing that? And maybe they'll help answer some questions that you as a young person will say, yeah, that is the path I want to go down to. Or maybe, oh, I hadn't even considered that. I didn't know they went through all of that. The power of imagination. I really don't want students to lose the power of reading and, coming up. And again, the old guy, reading children's book and then young adult books and assigned books in school. And still today, I do believe that readers are leaders and leaders are readers. And there's so many good things and blogs and things. But then imagine yourself, because these students have one thing that they'll have only one time, and that's youth. And at that point, you really can be anything. You can do anything. You can't do everything. And so as you kind of use the power of imagination and you're making a relationship every day, and that could be somebody in your neighborhood, that could be somebody at your workplace, whether you're working at a grocery store, you're working as the lot porter at a dealership, you're working wherever. Start making relationships every day. And if you journal or however today that you can kind of catalog that and make your own kind of personal CRM, that is something that I try to point out in the classroom. We even have assignments, just kind of, there's some students that are a little uncomfortable in cold calling, as we call it back there, but this industry is generous, and I find the business community, and again, There's nothing wrong with doors getting shut in your face. I mean,
Sure.
it hurts a little bit at first, but it also helps shape you in terms of a discipline, especially as a sales brand. And really, the beauty of business is it's all sales. Yes, I'm going to solve people's issues. I'm going to offer solutions and everything. But the bottom line that we all recognize is that I'm going to meet your wants, needs, and desires through something that I have here, that old knapsack, a briefcase, or whatever. I have a solution, and I'm going to sell it to you. And and for that, I mean, it's going to add value to your organization. It's going to get you to the soccer field. It's going to get you to work. It's going to get you to school. If you think about a car, transportation, point A to point B. But those are the type of things that if you can imagine yourself in that position, then you can begin to make relationships through the power of technology. And this community is so generous. And that's something that you have to discover. So again, long-winded, I do get passionate about that too, because, I'm in this seat because of relationships. And so, and I hear so many thought leaders and subject matter experts come into my classroom and talk about how somebody did something for them that changed the trajectory of their life or inspired the trajectory of their life. And it comes through that personal network.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great, Elgie. I appreciate that. And I'm always curious how, I can help someone else. Right. Mm-hmm. And you seem just like a person that does that naturally and does that well. And you have vast opportunities because you impact so many, younger people coming into the industry. But being that connector just seems like a superpower of yours. So I appreciate that insight.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, Elgie, let's talk about one more topic that while I have you, and that's the auto show, the International Auto Show at Northwood. You got that beautiful Corvette over your right shoulder. I can't help but stare at it. But talk about the auto show. I mean, this fall, because it's in September, I think you can probably get the dates. But I mean, it's been going on for how many years now?
So this will be the 62nd, and September 18th to the 21st on Midland's beautiful campus, on Northwood's beautiful campus in Midland, Michigan. These students put on the largest outdoor, totally free auto show in North America, and it's a new car show. It is a collector car show. It is an aftermarket show. We have specialty vehicles. And the beauty of it is, and the young lady that's running it this year, Katrina Ness, is a powerhouse. The beauty of it is it begins in a student's mind, conceptually, and then execution on that weekend. It's important to alumni. It's important to the community. It's important to the staff, administration, our leadership, the department. And she puts her team together, who puts their team together. We have captains, we have people working in displays, and it is a sight to behold, and we get really social with it, but I hope many in this audience can join us on that weekend. It's a homecoming of sorts for our alumni. We have a football game. A number of wonderful things that happen, but to walk around this campus and see the auto industry at its finest is really special to us, and I'm really, really excited to see what the students do with it this year. And for everybody out there that wonders about weather, it's always 75 and sunny on auto show. but if we come out and it's raining, it's 75 and sunny, because back to that power of imagination, this is something that we're passionate about. And for anybody that comes out there with us, whether it's cold, our passion's going to warm us up, and you're just going to see some really excited young people.
No, that's great. Are there any ways for either retailers or manufacturers, anybody in the industry, any ways for them to get involved and help?
Sure. If you get the easiest via this podcast is if you contact me at brighte@northwood.edu, I will put you in contact with the awesome Katrina Ness, and she'll get you to the right person. But to the retailers, to the OEs, to to the automotive community out there. It's really simple. I'm glad that my parents and the good Lord gifted me with an easy name, Elgie Bright. Life's good. Right at northwood.edu will get you to me, and then we can get you to the right student. And two things will happen. Not only will you want to be part of this great auto show, but you'll probably say, "Hey, how do I hire this student?" End of the day, yeah, they're the ones that are going to keep all of us, in good stead as they kind of learn this business and go out there and make their mark, make a difference, as we say.
Yeah, that's great. Well, LG, I want to be respectful of your time, obviously. What haven't we talked about that we should? What haven't I asked you about that you want to hit on today?
Well, the one thing that I'll say is next week, and this is through the great sponsorship and network. General Motors has really generously underwritten a camp, full tank automotive camp, and just think about us here as we work with some young people, high school age, and show them the possibilities within this industry. We're going to go to some dealers, and they're going to get a chance to see some corporate entities. But a lot of people will say they're 14 to 18 years old that, hey, I'm an auto enthusiast, or I really am passionate about this business. We'll really try next week to give some definition to that in a really fun environment in our great safe campus up here in Midland, and through some travels to Southeast Michigan. So that'll happen. A lot of social out there. So follow us on Full Tank Camp at Northwood University, and we'll get really social with it next week. But I think that's something, Greg, that again, we understand that there's a generation coming behind even this young generation, and we want to touch them, even knowing that a few will choose Northwood, a few will choose other great institutions, few will might go right into manufacturing, but this is such a great business, the auto industry, and we're really glad that we play a really significant part in it, and through the beauty of our relationships, such as Reynolds and Reynolds, we just stay passionate and enthused and excited every day.
Well, LG, I appreciate you. I appreciate your energy and appreciate everything that you represent about Northwood University. Thanks so much for joining me. Hey, we're going to have to get you heading into the auto show. We'll have to get you out to Dallas to amplify our retail summit in September, August. I'm sorry, August 18 and 19. So we'll have to get you out there. We can catch up on that later.
Sounds good.
All right, Elgie Bright, Chair of the Automotive Marketing and Management Department at Northwood University. Thank you so much for joining me, and have fun tonight at the President's Freedom Celebration, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, Greg. I really appreciate this.
Thank you. What a great conversation with Elgie Bright. I definitely appreciate his time. I always do. He's so passionate about this industry, so passionate about Northwood University. So I hope you got as much out of that conversation as I did. Before we hop off, don't forget you can watch or listen to all episodes of Connected on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify podcasts. And make sure to hit subscribe so you're notified every other week when new episodes are released. Thanks so much, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.